Welcome to the Dingus Den.
Welcome to the Dingus Den for the last part of this epic little mini-series here, Batman Silent Night, or Batman Santa Claus Silent Night. Last issue here to wrap this all up here. Yeah, I'm just ready, I guess, just get into this. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing well. How was your Christmas?
Oh, it was good. It's good.
Good, good.
Good way to wrap it up here, this Christmas time celebration by, talking about this fun little series that we've been talking about.
Agreed.
Go check out the first 3 videos if you haven't. Give them a like, share it around if you like them, and let's just go ahead and get right into all this.
Let's
Do it. First off, before we do get into it though, highlight to the this threw me off for a moment too when I started reading, but there's 2 new artists on this issue that didn't work on the others at all. So artists Danny Kim and Steven Segovia, and so good job to all the artwork here though. But yeah, let's go ahead and get right into this story though, where it begins in the Hidden Valley, night before Christmas, where it picks off right off from the last issue. We see evil Superman's about. All the monsters are loose. Santa and the heroes are busy trying to fight them off, fending them off. Batman is trying to contact Damian Wayne, who we see is in this cage underground, where he's in this gnome hall, where like all these other like gnomes are dead in it though. Could tell they've been long dead. But yeah, we see Krampus is there talking. He's talking with this like dark evil spirit that's trying to manipulate him. The spirit's trying to get Krampus to kill Damien, but Krampus is saying, no, I'm just trying to teach him not to be naughty. So we're gonna cut back to the heroes, who's continuing to fight the monsters. We see him team up on like this big troll creature, and then all of a sudden, like Black Canary tries to fight off Superman, but as always, Batman always has a plan against Superman, right? So he's like, yo, Blue Beetle, go take on Superman. Before Blue Beetle flies up to Superman, heroes are realizing that, like, Superman isn't using, like, his powers. Like, what's controlling him doesn't quite know how to use all these powers that Superman has, or isn't aware of them. Something like that. So anyway, Blue Beetle's able to use a scarab to generate, like, this kryptonite radiation that's then able to take down Superman. As Superman's going down, we see that the spirit, or spirits, is just trying to find this new host. So everyone's just keeping their distance from Superman, which then leads to the spirits dying off, and since because it has no other host to latch onto. And then all of a sudden, we just see this big ice yeti sort of creature then just slam, pound into the mountain, causing this huge, massive avalanche. Where we're just going to go back to Damian Wayne, where we see that he's trying to tell Krampus that he's possessed. During this time, we see the spirit give Krampus a spear, which Krampus doesn't really know how to use, but yeah, he still tries to use it. Damian then takes an act, like he puts on this act from Zatanna's book, call back to issue 1. Where he's just like crying and saying, I want to go home, I miss my father, which then just like stops Krampus just trying to attack him. And yeah, and so anyway, back to the heroes. They're under the avalanche. Nightwing is struggling, he can't move from all the snow on top of him, but he's then saved by Wonder Woman, who's also with Hawkgirl, and the Green Lantern, Sir Jordan Mullen, who's helping the other heroes out of the avalanche. After the heroes are saved, Superman reveals that there were spirits in his bodies, exiled from the Phantom Zone. They were threats that were there. They were just there too long that they then lost their physical form, so they became like these spirits. Santa then adds on that he realized that, well, they were able to use Krampus as a host, and then used Krampus's memories and his rage to sort of like formulate this whole attack that we've had going on this entire time. So the heroes then go to a forest where Santa then listens into a tree to figure out exactly where Damien is. Santa then opens up a portal to him where the heroes are then just there fighting off Krampus. Specifically, we see like the Bat family sort of do like this whole team up against Krampus, rescuing him and then just teaming up all against him. And then Santa then joins where the last spirit is just dies, and the other heroes, we then see the other heroes above ground finish up the job, finishing up fighting against all the other monsters that's above ground. And so, after the fight's over, Santa's about to head off on his sleigh. We see Damien ask why he still delivers, all the presents as Santa does. And each of the Trinity gives their own reasoning. It's a really great moment as far as like why each of them give that reasoning. But we'll circle back to that in a bit. And so, anyway, Santa then tells Damien that he hasn't forgotten about Damien's letter that, so many years ago where he asked for a satellite that could track his enemies. And then also comments on how Damien never really had a real childhood. But Santa does offer Santa to help him out tonight. However, just before Santa and Damien sets off, he tells the heroes that his favorite gifts awaits them inside his workshop and his home, a good meal they can have together. And then Santa leaves off with Damien, on his sleigh, bells jingle and all that. Anyway, other heroes then show up late to the fight, but just in time for a big meal where we see them all enjoying this huge, massive Christmas feast all together. And that's where it ends. Mm-hmm. This nice little mini-series ends right there. So, there we have it.
Yeah, this was a great issue. I like the way it was pretty short, to the point.
They've all been really quick to read. It's a nice, quick little series. If you want, I think overall, this is just a nice little series overall to like, if you just want something nice, like a nice Christmas read that doesn't take long, like this, you could easily read all of this under an hour. Like, they're very quick. And so, like, if you just want a nice Christmas read, you have Santa Claus, you have so many of your favorite DC heroes in this. It's just, if you want something nice, Christmassy, quick to read, it was fun. And so, definitely recommend checking this out overall. Like I said, if you just want a fun Christmas read, something that I feel like is kind of overlooked a lot of times. And so,
yeah, I will say the way the spirits were defeated was a little underwhelming, but also very Christmassy, because it was just here. All you have to do is give the child back to his dad and boom, spirits are gone.
Yeah, I do have a little bit of a beef with it, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's just go ahead and get into it. I guess back for the beginning here, right? It picks off right off from the beginning of the last issue. Literally right off onto it. We see the heroes fighting all the stuff. We see Damien trapped. What we pretty much expected. I feel like, other than revealing exactly what the threats were, which you did predict.
Yeah, I did predict it was Phantom Zone.
You did. Yep. You did. Good job on you figuring that out.
I mean, it's always all connected. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like us, like heaven and hell, Olympus and Hades,
Sure.
So it's
Got
the
that.
underworld, so it's always going to be connected. So when they were like these trapped souls, and honestly, some of my knowledge of how deep the Phantom Zone is comes from watching Supergirl, actually, because they have some Phantom Zone stuff in that as well. The CW show, which they did a really good job with, I think.
Nice.
And so definitely interesting that they used the Phantom Zone, but again, the way that they banished these crazy powerful spirits, like you said, you got a little bit of a beef with that.
Go on.
But I do like going back to the beginning, the way the fight with the monsters was really cool. So, and then having to have evil Superman in there and everything.
Yeah, I enjoyed how they took out Superman. I'm not familiar with like Blue Beetle using that ability, but that feels like a big callback that he's done somewhere. Not quite sure where. But kind of my biggest thing, my biggest issue with this issue is at the end of last issue, we had all these different like monsters come out of the gate, right? We saw this big like wolf-like creature Fenrir. We had these two like
The
giants.
giants.
We even had skeletons. We didn't see any of them at all in here. They just kind of the main thing we only got was like the trolls, which I don't think was exactly depicted the same way either.
They look very different in this. But like you said, different artists, but still like.
But still, you still have all these. You still have all these other threats set up that they didn't at all either. And and so like while the fight with the troll that they did was cool, it's like, well, okay, you had us excited at the end of the last one because it's like, oh, look. You have the big Fenrir, like, big wolf that, you know, you could obviously tell it's Fenrir if you know Norse, right? And so, like, I was expecting something cool with that. I was expecting something cool with these, like, big giants, you know? Like, DC's like, version of Surtur or something.
Where did the abominable snowman come from? We didn't see.
That's the other thing, too.
And, the Yeti wasn't even shown.
Right.
Neither was and like you said, those trolls looked very different.
Right.
At the end of the last issue,
right?
Like because we commented on like the pointy ears and everything like that.
Yeah.
How they were more like Norse elfish.
Yeah, we spent all this time dissecting all these threats that had nothing, and that for me was like the big like problem that I had here. I also noticed well, we'll talk about it later, but I did notice a disconnect in this issue too of another like continuity error.
Interesting.
But yeah.
But I would say my favorite part of this issue is the interaction between Damien and Krampus.
Oh yeah, I think those were definitely the highlights of this issue. And not only that, but also seeing the spirit try to overcome with Krampus. You know, you kind of learn more of like who Krampus actually is. You know, we've had all these hints throughout the series that Krampus isn't this full-on bad guy that people try to make him out to be, and so this kind of just solidifies that because he's like, I'm just trying to help teach him. You know, he maybe just doesn't know the best way. You know, he has the right idea. He just doesn't have the best way to go about it, right?
Correct.
And so it is cool seeing all that, and I did enjoy all the Krampus stuff. For me, Krampus is the biggest highlight of like this whole series as well. Characters are Krampus and Santa were pretty great in this whole series. The big highlights,
and of course the elf. I forget his name.
Peppermint John.
Peppermint John, that's it. Peppermint John.
Peppermint John.
Who does show up at the end of this issue.
Right. I forgot about that. Yes.
But yeah, the gnome thing made me chuckle. I will say that. Just I know it's terrible, dead gnomes, but it made me chuckle a little bit because the line was I don't think I'll find any help from the gnomes. They're long dead. And then they just show the skeleton, and it's like, oh yeah. And but the beard is still intact on one of them. It's just hilarious. Like I think it's supposed to be a little more of like a dry humor kind of moment, and then it works for me. It does.
Funny. Yeah.
So.
And
and then you know, again though, now we can get into the fight, you know, between the Bat Family and Krampus. Just anticlimactic for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a quick beat up. It's kind of what I was expecting, though. You know, I feel like, you know, the main thing with this is that it, you know, is, as most finales are, it's just resolving what was already set up, right? So you saw them resolving the fight against Krampus. You saw them resolving the fight against all the monsters. You know, we saw that big monster come out of nowhere. Yeah, you're right. It was pretty quick, though. But, I mean, when you have all the heroes rushing against Krampus, I kind of expected something to be quick there.
Yeah, but it wasn't the fight that, like, you know, I guess they wanted to do it because, I mean, for Superman, they
definitely could have done something more with the evil spirit. That's the thing. You're right.
Thing, yeah.
I definitely think there's many ways that this issue could have done a lot of things better. I definitely feel like a lot of the times they kind of just took like the short way out and just did it all very easily here. And you know, because I think the setup and everything else was a pretty good setup overall. And then this, I think it kind of just took the shortest way out, and you know, maybe is it the fault that they're just trying to cram everything in a fourth issue?
I think so,
which is possibly because that's the big thing. That's the big thing that both Marvel and DC does a lot now, is they focus a lot on these different mini series of it being like, oh, it has to be like for DC, they've been doing these big 3-issue miniseries of like deluxe, but then also these like 4-issue miniseries of trying to be a way to like sell off different characters and whatnot. And so, obviously this being one of those, and all so many times it's just a rushed fourth issue is just what happens. And so,
yeah, I could see that because this could definitely have been expanded into like a 5th or 6th issue easily. And
yeah,
I think we could say that about any miniseries in the comic world.
sure, for the but yeah, pretty much, yeah, I 100% agree, right? Like you could have had this issue focus on the rest of just fighting the monsters, actually dealing with the monsters that was set up, and then last saving Damien from Krampus. I think would have been a way better way to expand on it, but it is what it is. Yeah, but yeah, no, I agree. It definitely was a little bit underwhelming there. However, I will say one of my favorite moments from this issue is just the characterization at the end. We had with Santa, he's talking with Damien. This is such a great conversation. One of the other huge highlights of this issue is you have Santa and Damien talking with each other, and Santa's like able to just calling back to Damien's childhood and being like, oh, you never really had a childhood. And then he's like, wait, why do you still do this anyway, right? And then each of the Trinity gives their own reasoning that, like, Santa is, like, agrees with each one. And I just want to go into what all these said, right? Because Batman says, because he's driven, he can never stop seeing the child who needed the gift. And then
just like Batman,
right? And that's where Santa then comments, "There's much truth in that." Wonder Woman, Diana Prince then comments, he can't stop because he seeks out the good. That's hope,
just like Wonder Woman,
right? And then Santa asks Superman a little, "Why do you think I do it?" And he said, "For yourself. You do it for you, because nothing feels better than giving."
Just like Superman knows nothing feels better than helping others.
Exactly, and it's all great, and it's such a great moment because it's like all these important characteristics all coming up to like form like who Santa Claus is. All are valid, true reasons. That all go into it.
Yeah, which is really cool if you think about it. Each one of those characteristics is like them kind of self-reflecting on themselves.
Yeah.
And so if you think about it, then Santa is the Holy Trinity combined.
I guess. Yeah. It was cool though. I enjoy it. It was such a cool way to show that off though, and being like, and then Damien's like, Batman, can I go with him?
Santa, I get to ride in Santa's sleigh with a flying caribou. I love how you called it a caribou and not a reindeer.
Right, I was about to say, he just said Santa is real and I'm going to fly in a sleigh pulled by a giant caribou.
It's like, what?
Yeah, it's fun, and they have that funny moment. All the other heroes that we saw here kind of showing up late.
Yeah. Which, all right, so who do we have? We have another green. Is that Sojourner?
No, I think that's Hal Jordan.
That's Hal Jordan. Yep.
Hawk Girl,
who was at the.
That's the continuity I was pointing out earlier. I was mentioning earlier because we saw her already show up.
Yeah.
And is that also Wonder Woman? Because we didn't see any other Amazonians who's also there right beside Aquaman.
It looks like it. It looks like it. And then who's that flying in the back left? Is that Fate?
I'm going to assume Miss Martian.
Oh, yeah. Which is another continuity.
Unless it's meant to be someone else I'm just forgetting about. That was kind of just there. I'm trying to
see.
Yeah, I don't know, though. Like that. Unless, let me go to the dinner scene and make sure there's nothing else there.
No, there's not.
Oh, no, there's a cyborg. There's a cyborg there.
Oh, Cyborg. Yeah, it's Cyborg. That's who it is. It's Cyborg. That makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense.
Never mind. But still, two continuity errors because no other Amazons, they weren't there. But.
Yeah. I'm glad that they gave that, hey, are we too late line to the Flash. It's kind of, that's another dry humor.
That's his thing.
But then, Peppermint John shows up finally.
Peppermint
You know?
John shows up, and we have
And they
this
all
nice
have
big
dinner.
meal. It's
Yep.
a nice spread here. Seeing
Yeah.
them all together.
Yeah, all the different conversations and everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
You got to
that's all
see like
thing.
Cyborg's like you got to see the toy factory. Is it like all steampunk tech? And then we got
Is that? Do you
what?
see who that is in the background, right by Superman?
Nice Superman. Behind him, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Who's that supposed to be?
Is that
Jack
meant to be?
Frost?
I was about to say, is that like a Jack Frost, Frosty the Snowman? Who's that supposed to be
Well,
there?
it looks like a waiter of some sort.
I
So
know,
it's
right?
probably like a Jack Frost like
Maybe.
waiter or something.
I just noticed that. That's funny.
I love how
Um,
Black Canary's like, would you like some more? Arthur, try the figgy pudding. And then Blue Beetle sings the song. I won't go until I get some. I go until I get some. It's a happy new year, blah blah blah. However the rest of it goes. Yeah, just a nice little Christmas dinner. And there's Santa up in the background, flying the sleigh flying and everything.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that's it.
Nice ending
And then
page.
to all a good night, which is interesting that they released this issue after Christmas.
Yeah, I don't know.
feel
I
like
think
they
their thing was they
could've-
just wanted it all. Yeah, like releasing everything a
December.
week earlier.
Yeah.
Better. I don't know.
Yeah,
Definitely a
'cause
little
the first
weird.
issue was after the first,
Mhm.
right? The first issue, 20th,
Yes.
19th, and the 12th. The 12th, 19th, and the 5th.
Yes.
So I guess they couldn't have. It would have been in November.
Yeah, I guess they're just waiting all in December.
December, which I don't understand that. I would have preferred to have this issue be
Probably.
right before Christmas because
Yeah.
of the way it ends, you know?
Yeah. I
So,
very much
interesting
agree. I thought
choices
about
from the
that.
marketing. Because I mean, it says to all good night, but everyone's gonna be reading this after Christmas. You know,
That's true. That's
so it's
true.
weird.
Very
Although,
true.
Wait, did they release it simultaneously? Print
In stores? Yes.
Okay,
All-
so
all-
it came
yes.
out yesterday in
Yep,
stores
it
as
did.
well. Okay.
It did.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so interesting choice on the marketing side of things there. But again, one thing I will say is you can definitely tell the difference of the artwork from
That's
this
very
issue to
true.
the other three. You definitely can. And then a lot of the continuity errors
It
that
seemed
we
like the
saw
biggest
in the
thing too
artwork
is they
as
just
well.
needed to throw everything together. So it's like, hey, you two, get this art done in time so we could get this
something
out by
maybe
this
having to
date.
schedule. It's like the age-old actor thing. Like, oh, they couldn't do the role this time because of scheduling, you know? So, you know,
To me, I
who
wonder if
knows?
it's just one of those things where they just need it all done in time. So they're like, okay, let's just get new artists for the last one to make sure it's all done in time is what I feel like it is.
Definitely,
So-
yeah, definitely an interesting choice. But a good mini series, definitely very Christmassy. With a DC feel, definitely that darker
yeah.
DC feel for sure.
Yep.
That Batman feel for sure. So yeah, I don't really have much else to say about the whole mini series except it was a good read.
It was definitely a enjoyable read. I definitely enjoyed it overall. You know, despite some issues here and there, but I mean, I'd definitely say give it a read overall.
Yes.
Like I said, if you just want something nice, quick, easy to read for the holiday times, especially next year, go check it out. You know, go get it from your comic store or check out it on the DC Universe app. And so, wherever you read your stuff, go read more and anything else. So, but yeah, I think that about covers all this. Where can the people go find you at?
They can find me on, we'll call it Twitter X at Darth Pyron, and then
I like it
you
being
gotta
called
change
Twix.
your
I've called it Twix.
Twix. I like that.
I've
Twix.
shout out to
Twix.
Dork Wars podcast for coming up with that. I'm stealing it.
Twix. I like
It's
it.
great.
I like it. Twix. But then check out both of us on Redshirts Remastered.
Yep.
On Twix, on Twitch, on
Literally
YouTube,
everything. I think we have a thing about
everything.
almost everything.
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I think I'm missing one. Threads. That's the one I'm missing.
Threads. There you go.
Even Linktree. You can go to Linktree. Well, it's
all there.
linktr.ee
Down
slash
below.
Redshirt. Yeah, it's all in the description. It's just I love how Linktree does their linktr.ee. So yeah.
Yep. Go check out Redshirts Remastered. Do some fun stuff over there. And most importantly, be sure to like, subscribe, share this video around. And I'll see you all next time here in the Dingus Den.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this video. Before you go, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video. See you next time here on the Dingus Den.